Hey guys, I tried to do this video yesterday at the office and it was kind of crazy. I never got to actually upload it, and since I won't be back in the office and you'll have to put up with crazy McGoo back here playing drums on everything, I want to do as quickly as possible, run through kind of what we talked about at the community group meeting. I'm going to give you some stuff just to think about, and then if you would like to respond with a yes or no, or we're praying, if off the cuff you automatically go, yes, this is something we want to do, it's something we've been wanting to do, it may not take that long for you. But if it's something that you need some time to think about as far as your commitment, your time, we understand all those things are factors, family. But I want to make a compelling argument for community groups and the leadership that we need for those things to be pulled off. But you just let us know how you feel about it, and we'll plug you in as far as what we think and things like that as we go on. We're looking at launching these things towards the February mark. When we get in January, after the Christmas and New Year stuff's all over with, kind of vision cast a little bit towards the crowd, the congregation, let them know, hey, look, this is kind of where we're going, this is how you can be involved. And community groups are loosely based off, and I say loosely, I should say pointedly, based off of the community series that we did a few months back. Those are all on the website if you want to go look at those, and kind of that's the heartbeat, the vision kind of behind what we're doing. You can look at Acts 2, 42 through 47 to kind of get your head around that. 1 Corinthians 12, 1 Peter chapter 2. These are indicators that let us know that community is something that's biblical. As Pastor's been saying week in and week out, God's reconciled us to Him through Jesus, but He's also reconciled us to each other. And it may be a long shot for most people to believe that there can exist, a community can exist like the one we see in Acts 42. I believe that. I believe that so much so that that's really what I'm pouring my time and efforts into. I'm still doing student ministry, but I even want to see the community effort pour into students and its children as well. Just the idea of just becoming family. It's not cliche, it's not something we just say, but it's actually what we believe and what we're doing. And so what would that look like? So let me spend just a few minutes explaining that, what this would be about. We're not doing affinity groups or interest-based groups. Affinity groups are going to be groups based on age or gender, life stage, things like that. Interest groups are going to be based on things like sewing, baseball, basketball, shopping, interests, things that people are involved with because that's what they like to do. The reason we're not going to do these things is because most of the time the affinity becomes, or the interest becomes, the definition of the group rather than spiritual health and overall community growth. So we are doing groups by area where you live. And the reason we're going to do that is because of the way we're going to focus community groups. Community groups are going to have a three-pronged approach as far as what do we want these groups to accomplish when they're together, what is it that we want them to be doing as they're involving life with each other. The first thing is discipleship. Those would be taken care of in the affinity and interest group. Just, we're pretty good at doing that. Discipleship. That's what is the gospel and how does it relate to our lives. That's the basic play out of discipleship. That includes things like teaching people how to be self-control. What do the scriptures say about particular issues? What are the gifts of the Spirit? What are the fruit of the Spirit? How did Jesus live? How did Jesus tackle things? Teaching, learning, discussion, things like that helps people understand what the gospel is and how to live a life of faith toward Jesus. The second thing is pastoral care. People might say we're pretty good at that, but the fact is most of our congregation doesn't receive current or constant pastoral care. Pastoral care, if you look at the basic definition in Scripture, according to the word translated, it just means shepherding. And the same tender care taken with a shepherd to sheep is the same tender care we're supposed to give, in essence, to the people we're around. That means cause and concern, or a concern for people outside of just a meeting time to disciple them, but a care, an encouragement, prayer, discernment, speaking life into them, helping them through situations, spending time with them. It's more than just a meeting time. Shepherds didn't just go to a 1 hour meeting with their sheep and say, hey, look, you need to eat, you need to drink, you need to shave yourself in the summertime so you don't die. They didn't do that stuff. That was a life process, and that's what we feel like community is based off of. So those two things you could do easily in affinity groups or interest groups. But you can't do this third thing, and that third thing is mission. We want people to be focused missionally where they live. Now, the problem with that in an interest group or an affinity group is they may be based on interest. Therefore, because we reach such a large group of people in such a large area, it kind of doesn't make sense for someone in Corner to come all the way to Garndale to do a mission idea, or someone from Garndale to go to Corner. It makes sense in the sense that we love all people and we want to help everybody out, but it makes more sense to start off by being missional where you are. Alright, so what I was saying is, if we get people started missionally at home first, in their neighborhoods and in their city, then when they connect with people and they're sharing the gospel and time is being spent, they're actually doing the work of an evangelist, we're seeing people come to know Jesus, then it may be easier for them to work themselves into a group that's local rather than drive across town to a church to be a part of a bunch of strangers. Smaller groups tend to be less threatening. It's a greater environment to have discussion and learn. And we know this. Small groups have proven that since the small group's been a small group. When there were 3 or 4 people sitting around, it worked a lot better in some instances than 100 people trying to discuss something. So the reason we're doing neighborhood-based groups in our community groups, the neighborhood model, is because there's an overemphasis on mission. So with that thing, the three-pronged approach, every group is going to have those characteristics. Now, how those things play out, it's just like a car. I was telling somebody the other day, every car has some basic same features: wheels, windows, locks. Those things are but the color, the style of your group can change because that's the people, that's the makeup of the group. But those 3 particular issues need to be the focal point of what you're doing: discipleship, pastoral care, and of course mission, because we want to see people saved and joining the kingdom of God. So basically, what would a small group or a community group look like if you were meeting at your home? That would look like you getting together, having maybe some food, something like that. If you were doing a meeting at your house, or even if you were doing one at the church, if we had to start it off that way, and you're meeting together. We would love for you to meet in the area for which you're gathering people, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but you have something to eat, hang out, talk for a little while. But the basis of the meetings that you have for your community groups, when you meet, we would like for everybody to meet close to once a week. That automatically sounds overwhelming for most people, and so again, I'm asking you to pray about this stuff, because this is what we're seeing and feeling like this would be, that this is tested in that this is where I've been through, this is what I've been doing with a group, and I feel like the best results would be the way that we're going to be trying to do that. So if you're meeting once a week and you have some food, everybody's getting together, and then you talk about the sermon that was just recently preached. So if it's a Thursday night group, you're doing on Thursday night, you could talk about Wednesday night sermon. If you're meeting on Sunday or Monday or something like that, Sunday night, Monday night, you could talk about Sunday's message. And basically use that as a platform or a curriculum almost, because everybody would have heard that if they were at church, and they would be able to build an easier dialogue on that than just some random stuff you came up with on your own, or that they're not privy to. During a group session, you would want to have time where you could pray for needs. You would want to have time for discussion. That's discipleship, pastoral care. You want to have time to get in conversations where you can hear about what's going on in people's lives, talk about things, encourage each other, pastoral care, discipleship. But then at the end of the meeting, you always want to encourage everyone to be missionally minded. If they have questions about what it means to share the gospel, or how do you share the gospel, this is where it really gets on us to make sure that we are being missionally minded as well, that we're being discipled, that we're being pastorally taken care of, so we can mimic these things to these people that we're around, so that they know the best way to go about doing that. And so that's a lot of information. There's a ton more stuff that we could talk about and discuss and dialogue. But the meat and potatoes of it is we're not doing an interest or affinity group. We're doing community-based neighborhood models. We are going to be doing that 3-pronged discipleship, pastoral care, and mission. And we are going to make sure that at our group meetings, we're basing most of those meetings off of what was preached, so we can get discussions and dialogues so that we can build faith together. Our vision, our mission for this is building relationships that build faith. And we take care of that by concern beyond our meetings. We don't just want you concerned with them at the hour and a half you have them, or however long you have them at your house. We want you to build relationships with these people so that care begins to take place, that we really become a family that love each other, that care for each other, that want to see each other build ourselves closer to Jesus and closer to one another. And so if you got any questions, I know that was like super short, super fast, spastic. I ate a lot of had a lot of sugar this morning, so I could do that. Please call me, text me, email me. Let's meet. If you've got questions, if right off the cuff you say, no, it's not something, just let me know. There's no pressure. There is no nothing. We feel like this is where we're moving. If you would like to be a part of that, when there's an open invitation to do so. If there's something going on and that's not something you can do right now, that's perfectly fine. Just wanted to open up and give you the opportunity to be involved. Love you guys. Let me know something as soon as you can.